Then I'll stop sending you money. That was the moment everything cracked. My father's glass froze midair. My mother's hand trembled over the mashed potatoes. The whole table turned to ice, the kind of silence that doesn't wait for answers, only aftermath. If you'd told me that one sentence could burn down a family, I would have laughed. But that night, I learned how quickly peace turns into proof. From the outside, we were perfect. The Parker family, Sunday dinners, framed smiles, matching sweaters for the Christmas card Mom loved to send out every year. But perfection photographs better than it lives. My name's Rachel Parker, 32, the quiet daughter. The one who learned early that keeping peace sometimes means losing pieces of yourself. Helena, my older sister, was the golden child. 2 years older, 2 lifetimes brighter. She could charm anyone, teachers, neighbors, even my father. And my father, Richard Parker, ran our home like his old restaurant. Everyone had a job, but only his opinion counted. Mom was the peacemaker, translating his pride into apologies none of us had asked for. When the recession hit and the restaurant failed, the mortgage started to slip. I had just landed a junior position at an architecture firm, barely steady myself, but I told Mom I'd help. Just until they caught up, I said. $5,000 a month. Quietly. Dad refused to deal with online nonsense, so I sent the money through Helena. She'd promised to deliver it in cash or check. It made things easier, she said. And I believed her, because believing Helena was what we'd all been trained to do. Months passed. The transfers became a ritual, like paying rent for peace. I never questioned it. When Dad mentioned the mortgage being under control, I smiled, proud that I'd helped, even if no one said thank you. Helena would send me a one-word text, handled, and I'd move on. But the last time I visited, something felt off. The paint on the porch was peeling. The refrigerator hummed like it was holding a secret. Mom smiled, tired but loyal. Helena's helping us manage things, she said. I wanted to believe her. I really did. That night, we sat down to dinner. The good plates were out, the ones reserved for holidays and pretending. Mom's rosemary chicken filled the air, and for a moment, it almost felt normal again. Dad poured himself another glass of wine and looked around like he was inspecting a performance. Your sister really figured it out, he said, beaming at Helena. She's got instinct. Ambition. The words weren't meant for me, but they still landed sharp. I smiled anyway. I'm happy for her, I said, like I always did. Mom reached for the serving spoon, her hand shaking. All on her own, Dad added, lifting his glass. No handouts. The air changed. His words hit like a slap dressed as a compliment. And I don't know what broke inside me. Maybe all those months of silence finally found their voice, but before I could stop myself, I said it. Then I'll stop sending you money. The words hung there, unreal. Dad blinked. Mom froze. Helena's fork clattered against her plate. What money? Dad asked. Not angry, confused. That was worse. The money I've been sending Helena every month, I said. For you and Mom. Since last April. The color drained from his face. He turned slowly to my sister. Helena. Mom whispered. She's exaggerating, Helena said quickly. There were delays. Some months. Every month I cut in. On the first. I have the receipts. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was surgical, clean, and cutting. Dad's voice dropped low. We never saw a cent. Helena looked down. You don't understand. There were expenses. Investments. What kind of investment costs $60,000 and leaves you with nothing? I asked. She looked up, eyes flashing. You wouldn't get it, Rachel. You never believe in anything that isn't safe. Believing in family shouldn't be unsafe, I said. Mom's voice cracked. Helena, is it true? Helena looked away. It's complicated. I stood up slowly. Then I guess it's your problem now. Dad's hand tightened around the edge of the table. The air between us felt heavy, years of pretending collapsing into truth. That night, the house didn't sleep. Mom cried softly in the living room. Dad paced. Helena locked her door. I sat in my old bedroom, the glow of my laptop the only light, scrolling through the transfer records, my own digital fingerprints on a betrayal I hadn't meant to commit. $60,000. Gone. By morning, The kitchen smelled like stale coffee and regret. She says it's tied up in something, Mom whispered. A company, I said. A company doesn't eat mortgage payments. It eats trust. Dad's face was gray with exhaustion. We'll talk to her when she wakes up. But Helena didn't wake up. Her car was gone. Her room empty. Only a faint cloud of perfume lingered, and a single sticky note on the dresser. Don't overreact. I'll fix it. I stared at it until the letters blurred. She's not fixing anything, I said. She's running. For the first time in years, the house was silent. No music, no laughter, just the dull hum of the fridge and my mother's soft sobbing in the next room. I stared at the empty driveway through the blinds, waiting for Helena's car to appear, for her to walk through the door and explain everything away like she always did. But morning turned to afternoon, and she didn't come back. By the second day, Dad filed a missing person report. He didn't say much. Didn't have to. His silence said enough: shame, disbelief, and the kind of heartbreak that only happens when your favorite child betrays you. Mom tried to hold the pieces together, making coffee for a house full of ghosts. I sat by the window with my laptop open, scrolling through my transfer history again and again, like maybe I'd find a typo that could rewrite reality. $60,000. My money. Their mortgage. Her lie. I opened Helena's last text to me, handled. That one word used to mean reassurance. Now it looked like a smirk. I clicked on her contact photo, then her Instagram. Gone. Deleted. But there was one clue left, a tagged photo from a bar called the Lantern downtown. Posted 2 weeks earlier. She wasn't alone. The man in the photo was leaning close, his hand resting casually on her chair. Dark hair, easy grin. The caption read, "Business partners or troublemakers? You decide," winking face. His name was tagged, Mason Holt. I didn't even think. I grabbed my keys and drove. The Lantern looked like every other half-forgotten dive bar, red neon, sticky floors, a jukebox that never quite worked. I showed the bartender the picture. Seen her? He squinted, then nodded. Yeah, she was here a few times with that guy. Fancy type. Expensive watch. Bad temper. They argued last week. Loud. Argued about what? He shrugged. Money. Isn't it always? He pointed toward the corner booth. I sat there for a moment, imagining her laugh, her voice, the way she could make anyone feel like they were the only person in the room. That's the thing about Helena. Even her lies had warmth. I left the bar with Mason's name replaying in my head. By the time I got home, I'd already found him online, a consultant with no company, a list of dissolved LLCs, and a trail of investors complaining about vanished funds. My stomach turned cold. I called his number. Straight to voicemail. The next morning, I tried again. And again. On the fourth try, he answered. Who's this? This is Rachel Parker. You knew my sister, Helena. A pause. Then a low, smooth voice. Ah, the sister. I was wondering when you'd call. My grip tightened on the phone. Where is she? He chuckled softly. If I knew that, I wouldn't be stuck cleaning up her mess, would I? What mess? You really don't know, do you? Try me. He sighed. She was helping me with an investment fund. Legit at first. But she got greedy, took some money she wasn't supposed to. Now everyone's looking for her, not just you. My heart pounded. How much? He hesitated. More than 60,000. I swallowed hard. You mean my 60,000? I mean a lot of people's 60,000, he said quietly. If she reaches out, tell her to stop running. This isn't a game anymore. He hung up. I sat on my bed for a long time after that, staring at the wall, the phone still warm in my hand. The anger I'd been carrying turned into something heavier: fear. By the end of the week, I started getting calls too. Unknown numbers. Voicemails with nothing but breathing. A text that said, "Where's Helena?" Someone even left an envelope on the doorstep. Inside, a photo of Helena outside the Lantern, time-stamped 2 nights before she disappeared. On the back, one word, O's. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Mason's voice, calm, confident, dangerous. He sounded like a man who had nothing to lose. The next morning, I decided I wasn't going to wait anymore. If Helena was in trouble, I'd find her myself. I went through her old things, her notebooks, her emails, her laptop that Mom had been too afraid to open. Most of it was chaos, beauty subscriptions, random notes, to-do lists that started with "call Mom" and ended with "wine, 8 p.m." But then I found something. A folder on her desktop labeled Luna Project. Inside were scanned documents, bank statements, wire transfers, and a partnership agreement signed by both Helena and Mason Holt. At the bottom of the last page, a handwritten note from her. "If anything happens, look for Mason's safe house, Ridge Street, number 47. Ridge Street was only 30 minutes away. I didn't tell my parents. They'd already lost one daughter to lies. I wasn't about to make them watch me chase after them too. I just grabbed my coat, got in the car, and drove. The house at number 47 looked abandoned, shutters closed, weeds tall. But as I got closer, I saw fresh tire tracks in the gravel and a faint light flickering in the window. My pulse quickened. I pushed the gate open, heart hammering against my ribs. The porch creaked beneath my feet. And then a shadow moved inside. The gate closed behind me with a slow metallic groan. For a moment, I almost turned back, told myself this was too much, too late. But the faint light inside that house wouldn't let me. It was like a heartbeat pulsing through the dark. I had to know. The front door was unlocked. That alone told me enough. Whoever had been here didn't plan on staying long. I pushed it open. The smell hit first, dust, gasoline, and something sour underneath. The kind of scent old secrets leave behind. Inside, the place looked abandoned. Sheets draped over furniture, a single lamp still flickering in the corner. The air felt thick, heavy with stories no one wanted told. "Helena." My voice came out small. The walls swallowed it. No answer. I moved deeper in, careful not to step on the broken glass scattered across the floor. The living room was empty, but the table held a coffee mug, lipstick smudged on the rim. Her shade. For a second, my chest clenched. She had been here. There were papers everywhere, invoices, printed emails, bank transfers. Most had the name Luna Project stamped across the top. I picked one up. Transfer received, $75,000, client, M. Holt. The date was from 2 months ago. My hands started to shake. Helena wasn't just helping Mason. She'd been his partner, and maybe his scapegoat. Then I heard it, a soft creak from the hallway. "Hello," I whispered. Silence. I took a few steps toward the sound. The hallway stretched into darkness. A door halfway down stood slightly ajar. The air felt colder there. I pushed it open. Inside was a small office, desk, laptop, corkboard on the wall covered in notes and photos. Helena's handwriting scrawled across everything. Arrows, connections, names I didn't recognize. Mason. Caldera Group. Ridge accounts. Transfer routes. And at the center, one photo of me. A chill ran through me. It was the picture from my birthday last year, the one Helena took. On it, she'd written, "Trust me. I'm protecting you." My stomach turned. Protecting me from what? Behind me, the floor creaked again, this time closer. I spun around. A man stood in the doorway. Dark jacket. Unshaven face. His eyes sharp enough to slice through air. "You shouldn't be here," he said. I froze. "Who are you?" He took a step forward. "You're Rachel, right? Helena's sister." "How do you know my name?" He sighed. "Because she told me you'd come." For a second, I couldn't breathe. "Where is she?" He shook his head. "Gone." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." I backed up slightly. "Did Mason send you?" He frowned. "Mason? No. I've been trying to find him too." "Then who are you?" He reached into his coat slowly, and my whole body tensed, but instead of a weapon, he pulled out a badge. "Detective Ryan Cole. Financial Crimes Unit." My heartbeat didn't slow. "If you're really a cop, why are you sneaking around in the dark?" He gave a tired smile. "Because this place isn't supposed to exist. And neither was her project." He walked past me, scanning the papers. "We've been investigating Mason Holt for over a year. He's been running fake investment firms, pulling in money from small investors, vanishing before anyone realizes. Helena was our best lead. Then she wasn't part of it?" He hesitated. "That's the problem. At first, she was just helping us trace the money. But somewhere along the line, she crossed over. Maybe it was greed. Maybe fear. We don't know. I stared at the photo wall, my throat tight. She's not a criminal. Then find her before someone else does, he said quietly. Because Mason's people think she still has the account keys, and they're not as patient as we are. A loud crash outside made us both flinch. Ryan moved fast, pulling me toward the back door. We're not alone. We slipped into the backyard just as headlights swept across the windows. A car rolled slowly up the driveway, black, tinted, silent. Two men stepped out. Ryan grabbed my arm. Go. Now. What about you? I'll distract them. You head down the alley and don't look back. I wanted to argue, but one look at those men and I knew this wasn't the time for pride. I ran. Down the alley, shoes slapping against the wet pavement, lungs burning. Behind me, I heard voices, sharp, angry. Then the sound of something breaking. When I finally stopped, I was 2 blocks away, hidden behind an old fence, shaking so hard I could barely breathe. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. A text. You shouldn't have gone there. No name. No signature. Just that. I looked around, empty street, dark houses, wind whispering through the trees. Somebody was watching. Maybe Mason. Maybe someone worse. I dialed Ryan's number from the card he'd handed me before we split, straight to voicemail. Ryan, it's me. Are you okay? Please call me. No answer. Back home, I locked every door, every window. Mom and Dad thought I'd been out running errands. I couldn't tell them the truth, not yet. When I finally sat on my bed, exhaustion hit me all at once. My laptop still sat open, the Luna project files glowing faintly on the screen. In the bottom folder, I noticed one last document I hadn't opened before, a file named Echo. I double-clicked. It was a video. The screen flickered, and Helena's face appeared. She looked pale, scared, nothing like herself. If you're watching this, she said softly, it means things went wrong. Don't trust Mason. And don't trust anyone who says they can fix it. Not even the police. She paused, eyes glistening. Rachel. I didn't mean to drag you into this. But they'll come for you too now. The screen went black. I watched the video again. And again. Each time, Helena's voice cracked in a slightly different way. Maybe it was my imagination, or maybe I was hearing what I'd missed all these years, the fear behind her confidence. When the screen went black, I just sat there in silence. The only sound was my heartbeat, fast, uneven, angry. Don't trust Mason. Don't trust the police. That last line echoed inside me. I'd trusted both. And now Ryan wasn't answering his phone. The next morning, I got an email. No sender name, no subject. Just a single line of text. Ridge Street was a warning. Meet me where it started, the lantern. 9 p.m. Come alone. My first thought was that it was Mason. My second, that it was a trap. But either way, I was done running. I told my parents I had a late meeting. Mom smiled faintly, unaware of the storm waiting for me. On the drive downtown, rain smeared the city lights into watery ghosts. I parked 2 blocks away from the lantern and walked the rest of the distance, hood up, hands tight in my pockets. Inside, the bar was half empty. The jukebox played an old blues song that didn't belong in this century. I slid into the same booth Helena had sat in on that tagged photo. 9:02 p.m. Then 9:05. At 9:10, someone slid into the seat across from me. Mason Holt. He looked nothing like the man in the photo, thinner, paler, eyes tired in a way that didn't come from lack of sleep. Rachel, he said, smiling faintly. I was wondering if you'd find your way back. Where's my sister? I asked. He tilted his head. You mean what's left of her? My stomach twisted. What does that mean? She ran, he said. Took my client's money, disappeared. You saw the house. She left her mess everywhere. Then why are you still here? He smiled wider, but it didn't reach his eyes. Because someone has to clean up. And you, my dear, just inherited her problem. I stood up, but he grabbed my wrist, gentle but firm. Sit down. You don't want to make a scene. Let go of me. He leaned in, voice low. Helena thought she could outsmart people who make a living out of deception. That never ends well. She hid the access keys. I think she sent them to you. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I think you do, he said softly. You're too much like her, always pretending you don't know what you're worth. He reached into his coat, and I froze. But instead of a weapon, he set down a flash drive. This, he said, is what she stole. Half the investor's money. The other half, gone. Maybe she hid it. Maybe she didn't live long enough to spend it. I stared at the drive. Why give it to me? He smiled. Because you'll do the right thing. Bring it to me, and this ends quietly. I didn't move. I could feel the weight of Helena's warning pressing against my ribs. Don't trust him. Where is she, Mason? I whispered. His expression flickered, the first crack in his performance. She panicked. Called me from the highway. Said she was going to the lake house to hide the drive. I told her to stay put. And then someone else got there first. He stood up, leaving the flash drive behind. Don't make me come looking for you, Rachel. He walked out. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the drive. Every instinct told me to throw it away. But if this was what she died for or run for, then I had to see it. That night, back home, I plugged it into my laptop. The screen filled with documents, offshore accounts, transfer logs, messages between Mason and unnamed partners. And buried at the bottom, a video file labeled Final Proof. MP4. I clicked it. Helena appeared again. Same clothes, same room as before. But this time, she wasn't afraid. I made a copy, she said quietly. Mason thinks he controls everything, but he's not the only one watching. If you're seeing this, Rachel, it means he found out. And I didn't make it. She paused, exhaling slowly. The money isn't stolen. It's evidence. Mason's investors aren't victims. They're laundering money through him. I traced every transaction. They'll kill anyone who exposes them. She leaned closer, voice breaking. Don't try to be the hero. Just give this to the press. And don't look for me. The video ended there. I sat frozen. My whole body was shaking, but my mind was clear. For the first time in months, I understood. Helena hadn't betrayed us. She'd tried to protect us, and it had cost her everything. By dawn, I was parked outside the local news station, flash drive in hand. My reflection in the car window looked older, harder. I went inside and handed the drive to the reporter on duty. This needs to go public, I said. Names, dates, everything. By nightfall, it did. Within hours, the story was everywhere. Investment scandal exposed, photos of Mason, the fake companies, the accounts offshore. The Luna project wasn't a scam. It was evidence wrapped in danger. And Helena had been the whistleblower. The police raided Mason's properties that evening. They didn't find him. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address, just my name. Inside, a single Polaroid. Helena, standing by the edge of a lake. Alive. On the back, she'd written in her looping handwriting. Told you I'd fix it. I stared at it for a long time, tears spilling down before I even realized I was crying. All those months of guilt, anger, betrayal, they melted into something quieter. Something like peace. I drove out to the lake that weekend. Just to see. No one was there. Only the water, still and endless, catching the light like a secret it refused to tell. I sat on the dock until the sky turned gold and whispered into the wind. Wherever you are, Helena, I hope you finally stopped running. And for a moment, just a breath, I swore I heard her laugh again.